Live with more on the school closures in Philadelphia.
No schools here in Philadelphia. No school for the next 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks.
Live with more on the school closures in Philadelphia.
No schools here in Philadelphia. No school for the next 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Another. Our business and school closures will no longer have a set date to resume normal operations.
Just woke up from a long nap.
Hibernation,
I'm tired of this quarantine.
losing patience,
I'm trying to get my life right.
dedication,
Get up and get moving.
motivation,
Listen to the government.
cooperation,
Trying not to go outside.
temptation,
I'm tired of these four walls.
staycation,
Can't wait to get back on.
vacation. We're looking at a future unknown. I know we're not in this alone. We know this is a strange situation. Please get me out of coronation.
Please get me out of Corona. Get me out. Please get me out. Please get me out of Corona. Get me out. Please get me out. This pandemic is everywhere.
Infestation,
Something that we never seen.
mutation,
Waiting for a vaccine.
medication,
It feels like a drunken dream.
intoxication,
I know we're in some dark time.
inspiration,
Breaking some new habits.
meditation,
I can't wait to send mine
relocation.
and make it through this hard time.
Congratulations. We're looking at a future unknown. I know we're not in this alone. We know this is a strange situation. Please get me out of coronation.
Please get me out of Corona. Get me out. Please get me out. Please get me out of Corona. Get me out. Please get me out.
PlayStation, generation, isolation, complication, stagnation, rotation, transformation, constellation, investigation, proclamation, no matriculation, separation, new creation, coronation. We're looking at a future unknown. I know we're not in this alone. We know this is a strange situation. Please get me out of coronation.
Please get me out of Corona. Get me out. Please get me out. Please get me out of Corona. Get me out. Please get me out.
Hello, everybody. You've just been listening to Coronation, which was recorded by the students at Hill Friedman World Academy. It's on their new album, Things That Matter. Thank you for joining us today for our youth media screening, Teen Perspectives on the Pandemic, part of Remake Learning Days. My name is Craig Santoro. I'm the Director of Educational Programs here at WHYY. WHYY, as you may know, is a TV radio station website, but you may not know that we've been working to teach kids to tell stories through images and sound since 2003. In that time, we've partnered with 45 schools to open media labs and trained nearly 20,000 young people to produce their own media content. Perhaps most importantly, we've ushered dozens of teens on pathways to media careers through paid industry work experiences. After all these years of enjoying and watching youth media, I can tell you that a kid with a camera is a really powerful thing. Media not only gives youth a voice in important national conversations, but it allows young people to exercise creative muscles, build critical thinking skills, nurture their natural curiosity, and process the world around them. This afternoon, we are going to see videos and hear one podcast from teens and tweens made in response to the COVID-19 pandemic. Some of these videos were class assignments. Some of them were assigned as work experiences from WHYY. But all of these videos give us insight into the teen experience over the past 16 months. And some of the videos are also just things that kids made because they wanted to make them. We have about 45 minutes of media to show you. As I mentioned, it's mostly videos and one podcast. Afterwards, I'm going to host a Q&A with some of the kids whose work that you're seeing today. So if you have questions or just want to commend them on a job well done, please don't hesitate to use the chat. Before we roll the reel, I have a couple quick thank yous for you. I want to thank our Media Lab funders, the William Penn Foundation, the Lenfest Foundation, the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, the McLean Contribution Ship, Wisfis Bank, and literally dozens of others. I'd like to thank all the WHYY members out there today. The station simply cannot exist without you. And if you're not a member, but you're interested in becoming a member, please visit whyy.org. I want to thank the teachers and the schools that we partner with. And most importantly, I want to thank the students who share their voices with us on an everyday basis and are sharing their work with us today. You've certainly heard enough from me. So now let's watch some movies.
Even during a global pandemic, my family was still determined to go to Florida. We normally go every year, so it kind of turned into our own little family tradition.
And now to the coronavirus.
We are 5 months into this pandemic. More than 150,000 people have died of the coronavirus.
Life-threatening one now.
Unless you've been living under a different planet, you know that our world is threatened by a deadly new virus, COVID-19, aka the newest coronavirus. The USA has become one of the countries that is ground zero, and now I'm heading to the belly of the beast, the Michael Jordan of infestations, Florida. I came prepared with my hand sanitizer, gloves, mask, backup mask, and bandana to act as my emergency mask. But it's all good because I know a few tips and tricks that can help me survive, even helping you guys out at home.
So that raises the question, is it possible to never get sick?
So with me running like a buffoon, every time I take a breath, my saliva, bacteria, and other gross things are getting from out of my body into your precious air.
Sneezing can have a distance of 27 feet after the initial blast. Not only that, but it can stay around the area for several minutes. I can sneeze at the starting line, and when I finish my first lap, I can smack right into my old sneeze. That lingering bacteria can land onto your shirt, and then you touching these germs, the bacteria, maybe sprinkled with a little COVID-19, you'll never know can go right into your mouth. And how wonderful is that? Social distancing is one way that we can prevent the spread, but the best things we have right now are masks. They may not shield you 100% of the time, but they will 100%ly be a whole lot better than not covering your face in public.
So that's going to wear your mask. It keeps you protected from the air. So that way, you don't get infected disease.
Even though the CDC has made several warnings about wearing masks and social distancing, it seems like that they don't really follow it in Florida. I try my best to keep a safe distance so I don't get infected, but it really seems like this place is its own separate world, like the disease is barely even occurring. They have signs and everything, but none of the people really care.
Overall, I have to say I had a lot of fun on my trip to Florida. I tried to have as much fun as I could, as well as being safe. Seeing other people not being as safe as I was definitely a little disheartening. Kind of reminded me of how long the situation might be holding on for us. But the most that you can do is just protect yourself and make sure that you're safe and your family is safe. And that means hygiene, social distancing, masks, things like that. We're all going through this together. And we're all trying to go back to the way that things were. And we're able to do that if we all just work together. So even if I'm in Florida or back here in Philadelphia, it's important to be safe. And you should as well.
I made a series about COVID-19. I wanted to make this series as a way to spread awareness in a creative and visually appealing way. I was inspired by many artists on Instagram, Twitter, any social media platform I have, who made art that showcase the seriousness of certain events that have happened, that have affected people globally and also affected them in some type of way. I wanted to showcase the serious of this event going on, that many people aren't taking as serious, and really showcase how it's affecting not only certain age groups, certain people, it's affecting everyone on a global scale. Race, background, doesn't matter. And really showcase that through different masks, different ages, different people, different background. As someone who has been affected personally, as I'm not able to go to school, as I have my grandfather who was living with me, who I'm constantly worried about, who my family's constantly worried about, as I have my family who is not able to work as they used to work, I really wanted to bring this problem out and really showcase something that I know is not only affecting me, but affecting everyone around me. Art is a way to relieve myself from stress, anxiety, anything I'm feeling. Instead of getting it out verbally, because sometimes I can't, I like to get out visually and see my problem face to face on paper. This helps me to step back from any situation I'm feeling, any stress I'm gathering, anything that is building up, and I'm able to look at it and distress myself and really step back and relieve all my emotions through paper.
If I was to explain handball in two sentences, it's kind of like a mixture of tennis, but the thrill is something that's uncomparable.
Handball has given me opportunities that have opened up doors, not only as far as individually, but that allow me to explore the world as well. A lot of people don't know, but it's not only played here in the United States, but it's played on a worldwide scale.
Ever since I was a kid, I always seen all these guys going to the handball court. It could be any wall, it could be anywhere. They just put up some lines and they just start playing. Then, I'm 52 years old, so 40 years later, I'm still playing.
What makes it different in Philly, those cities don't have the bond that we have. We're considered a family. We travel together. Unfortunately, when somebody passes away, we throw a big tournament, we gather, we mourn together, we celebrate together. And handball's the get-together spot. I've known guys since the late 80s, and we're still playing.
Handball kind of kept me in shape, kept me out of trouble, kept a lot of kids out of trouble. Not only was it a place for me to go and get my workout in, but it was also a good place for some of the older guys that were there to guide me in the right place. The way I grew up, now I'm giving it back to them, and kind of feels good.
COVID affected handball in a big way, and it'll continue to affect handball for as long as it's out here, as long as we really can't control it. Definitely affected handball and the amount of people that are playing, the amount of people that are gonna play, because if it's something that's gonna be around for a long time, then everyone's gonna be mindful of that. And then on the community front, it impacted handball really big, because this year we weren't able to have our citywide event. So just that event alone, we're probably at almost 200 players between kids and adults. So now that's 200 people that don't have opportunities presented to them because of these tournaments.
So this COVID right now has a lot of guys stressed out. The handball always been a way for them to go and let go, then go back home with a different kind of mindset.
I want people to understand that handball had a greater meaning. It had a greater meaning to a lot of people, introduced me to the right people, people that I call my mentors, that I call my good friends. They not only helped me in handball as far as my game, but also helped me in life.
The handball players always been downgraded. Don't judge us just because we there playing on a wall with a dollar ball. That's a second home, it's a second family. Man, it's a sport that I think that more people should play.
Handball's like an underrated sport. Nobody pays mind to it. People downgrade it, call it a ghetto sport. It's really a great game. It's great competition. It keeps you in shape, it keeps you busy. It keeps a lot of guys out of trouble. To me, handball's a great thing.
Early in the morning on Monday, February 8th, Philadelphia teachers prepared for their first classes of the week. However, instead of logging in from their home offices, kitchen tables, or living rooms, they bundled up and traveled all over the city to teach, roam the parking lots and front yards of Philadelphia elementary schools, protesting the school district of Philadelphia's mandate for K-12 teachers and students to return to buildings for in-person learning. Though the district has promised rigorous safety measures, Jerry Jordan, Philadelphia Federation of Teachers president, claims that the district has not met the necessary ventilation requirements. Cynthia Mallory, a teacher leader at Dockery Elementary School in North Philadelphia, stood with her colleagues along Diamond Street Monday morning.
It's so important because we want to show solidarity, and as a union, we want to be united in terms of what we are asking for, and we are asking that all buildings, school buildings, be safe for everyone.
Teachers like Christine Jones, who teach at Carver High School of Engineering and Science, located just blocks from Dockery, showed up in the support of their elementary colleagues.
I'm here in support of the K-2 educators that were asked to come back into unsafe buildings. We need a better plan. We need these buildings to be up to code. We need to figure out how to get funding to get all these buildings safe. This is not just about the coronavirus. This is about unsafe building conditions, about ventilation, about mold, about asbestos. A lot of different health concerns.
These multiple health concerns have fueled community distrust of the district's promises to keep students and staff safe. Even before the pandemic, thousands of students and teachers, school staff expressed serious concerns over the building conditions. Since October 2019, even Philadelphia schools have partially or fully closed remediation of damaging asbestos materials. Dr. William Haidt said that approximately 80% of the Philadelphia schools were built prior in 1978 and were likely to contain asbestos. Haidt said that school district needs $125 million in new funding in the next 5 years to remediate lead asbestos contamination. School districts mishandling the health hazards, coupled with current concerns about COVID, led to this face-off between school board and teachers union. Teachers are asking for the board to reconsider its current plan of reopening buildings.
I believe that students should be back in the classrooms in person, but of course it has to be done safely, not at the expense of anyone's health or well-being.
What I hope comes from today is that policymakers at the School District of Philadelphia and also our mayor and also all of the council people and people in elected office that did not sign on for schools like Dockery to open safely. I hope that they see that we are not messing around, that we ride for each other, and that we want our schools to be safe and healthy when we reopen.
As you can see, there are many people going out of their way, even during a pandemic, to make sure that people and children are safe when going back to school. That's all for today. Thank you for listening to the Carver Times.
Hi, we are the afternoon ESOL class at Ziegler.
We are trying to keep you safe from COVID-19.
You can stay safe from coronavirus by doing these simple things.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Wear a mask.
Not like this.
Not like this.
Not like this. Make sure your nose and your mouth are covered. Wash your hands. Wash them a lot. Wash them for at least 20 seconds. And coronavirus and COVID-19 doesn't know for playing that. You're stay your house. And you're wash your hands. Stay 6 feet apart. Wear a mask. Please wash your hands for at least 20 seconds. Stay 6 feet apart. If you do all of these things, you can stay safe from COVID-19. School, home, and all around. Stay safe wherever you go.
Stay safe.
나주막히 건넨 인사가 마지막 인사일 줄 상상 못했어. 또 다른 하루가 다시 지나고 그대 희미한 사진만 홀로 남았네. 늘 혼자인 하루가 이젠 익숙해진 걸까. 남은 약속만 나 붙잡고 넌 오질 않아도.
Sitting here in my living room watching this film excites me. It lets me escape. I get to live the life of another person that doesn't even exist.
어머, 쏘리. 난 쓰레기통인 줄 알고.
내가 뭐 정신병원이어서 그런가 미친 애들 천지구만.
그럼 너도 들어오네? 미친놈아?
When I see this, I want to make a film to let people know that living a life that's not theirs is not all bad. It can help sometimes, not all the times though. This chair became my start. In this chair, I started doing many things. I started learning new languages. I started learning how to draw. I started learning how a camera worked. I spent half my days in this chair.
마지막 남긴 한마디도 내 마음 깊은 곳에.
My health is something I never really worried about. Hey, what are you guys doing? Obviously on my phone. Why are you so mean to me all the time? I'm not, you're just stupid. Stupid? I got a 65 on my test last week. I'm not stupid. Are you guys going to keep fighting? She's the one that started it. See? Yeah, right. Miss I read books, and I try to look
What am I, like
smart.
your mom or something?
I also really wanted to learn how to cook, and this break was a nice time to start. When I started, I got help from my brother and my mom. They always got fed up with me because I didn't know what some things were, and I burnt a lot of dishes. I didn't stop my destruction there. I almost burned down the kitchen. I didn't give up. Instead, I thought every single time I messed up, when I grow up, I need someone to cook for me. Food is a must. But I broke those chains.
More than 60,000 students commute to and from school on SEPTA Philadelphia public transit system. This year will be different, with school starting off virtually until November 17th. Students will then transition to hybrid learning, attending school 2 days a week. But a question arises, will public transport be safe for its riders? Before the COVID-19 pandemic hit, Kate Rodriguez took public transportation all the time.
When I'm going to school, I usually go with my dad, but I have to wake up really early. Since my school is in Center City and I'm in Northeast, then I'll take the train and the bus home. The bus stop takes the majority of the time, and sometimes it can take about, I want to say, 45 minutes to 50 minutes to get home.
Students aren't the only ones relying on public transportation to get to school. Louis Fantini, an English and history teacher at Franklin Learning Center, depended on SEPTA to get to work each day.
When I bought my house, I made sure that it would allow me to continue to use public transportation work. I think it's really important. I think it's really responsible.
Although students and teachers make up a large portion of SEPTA's ridership, the numbers have decreased by 40% due to school closures from COVID-19. COVID-19 has already killed nearly 2,000 people in the city of Philadelphia this year. According to CDC guidelines for COVID-19, people should stay at home to decrease interactions with others to stop the spread. Due to the limited amount of space and large amount of students and teachers that use SEPTA to commute, safety will be a challenge.
It's students packed on there like a can of sardines. It's like literally the definition of the most dangerous circumstance that you could, like, you know, cross-reference with the CDC guidelines and the City of Philadelphia guidelines. Like, they're like, avoid poorly ventilated, high-density indoor spaces.
In the district's proposed in-person plan starting November 17th, school nurses would be tasked with monitoring student health, sometimes in multiple buildings. Emily Sider, a nurse at McClure Elementary School, will sometimes float between her school and others, increasing her risk of exposure.
Then it just gets more and more dangerous because now I'm going back and forth to different schools. What if I have this kid with suspected COVID over here, and then I've got, you know, another kid down the block with another health issue? Then it's just, there's no way to do that. And if you don't have a system set up for substitute nurses, then you're going to have a lot of schools going without a nurse.
The district did not directly comment about substitute nurses for the story, but is working with the CDC to ensure a safe environment for its staff and students, and is working alongside SEPTA in preparation for November 17th. According to Leslie Richards, General Manager of SEPTA, their COVID-19 safety measurements require commuters and staff to wear masks. It also introduced social distancing coaches that provide masks and remind riders of staying 6 feet apart.
We are cleaning and disinfecting. We're making sure that our air filtration is recirculating at a good rate to make sure that our cars, our stations, our platforms are safe places to be.
SEPTA is using its social media and youth advisory council to further establish a safe environment for its commuters.
And we also want to hear back. For instance, if you're out there and you have an idea of how we can be better or how we can serve our students better, we want to hear those ideas as well.
Yet, some are still skeptical. Even with rules in place, it will be difficult to create a safe environment if people don't comply with them. Along with the increase in commuters, safe distance will be an issue.
So you suddenly have all these people crowded in buses and the subway. We might be able to control in the school to a certain extent who's wearing a mask, but you can't really do that on public transportation in the same way.
Philadelphia Public Schools will remain virtual until November 17th. Until then, Rodriguez is unsure of how high school will look like, but remains hopeful that one day she'll go back.
I just want to go back to doing the same things that I did every day, all the fun things that made school fun, and I just don't want to be at home.
For the PBS NewsHour Student Reporting Labs, I'm Dariana Garcia Bernabe in Philadelphia.
Hi, this is Quarantine Days in Lego, and I'll be introducing you to this little brickhead. Let's go!
Round 1. Fight!
Oh, come on, not right now. This stupid Wi-Fi. I'm just going to go fix it.
Hey, you. You're not supposed to use the Wi-Fi while I was playing Minecraft.
Oh, get out of my way, little girl. Just move. The Wi-Fi's back on. But then this happens.
Bruh.
Welcome to part 2 of Quarantine Days. This is, have you ever felt like you do the same thing all over again? Watching TV is boring. I'm gonna eat something again. Let's start with a healthy snack. Carrots! Time for a smaller snack. Yes, this will perfectly do. I'm gonna go watch TV again. Let's see what's on. Hi, hello there, TV viewers. Welcome to Are You Smarter Than a First Grader? Here are 3 challengers.
On TV. I just turned 7.
You guys are gonna lose. Now, on to the show. Good ice cream. First question. What is 1 plus 1?
It's 1. 11.
24. Oh, idiots. Wrong answer. So boring. I'll go eat. Sometimes I'll go back in the kitchen and look for something to eat. It's really good. Wait, I'm a vegetarian. I don't eat chicken. So I watch TV.
Hey, who's there?
Today's gonna be a good day. Sorry for some juice. Let's check some daily videos today, shall we? Breaking news. There's a protest in Iowa City. Let's interview one of the police officers.
Guys, please stop. Never!
It failed to be hit by a protester.
Shut your mouth.
That's it, folks. Well, that isn't so good. Hey, move it! What are you doing?
No.
Fine, here's a Twix bar.
Ooh, gimme.
Welcome to my show. We have a very special guest, Backpack Girl.
Hi, I'll tell you why you need a little mask. Go on.
Aw, sorry, you're so cute.
Do not call me cute. And respect it, silly.
Aw, you're just like a baby.
Okay, I'm done.
Пора спать. Мам, я пишу поэму. Уже час ночи. Я не могу, мне сейчас хорошо идет. Как закончишь, ложись спать. Хорошо.
Love songs are fading, but melodies stick with you. I have learned to hide and memorize not to.
Dark room, bright light, thoughts that flow on paper in the night, the emotions, the feels that I never show. I found a place to call home, the safe place I never had. Thus I thought I locked inside, found the freedom in dazzling night. The scent of lemongrass and vanilla fly in the air. Books and poems colonize the dusty shelves. The little Spidey friend, living in a corner of this room. The past me, hiding in a closet, waiting for the past, when the world felt sane and safe. The thin walls of this room have protected me from the world that I once called a home, but the world had changed, and I did too. Thank God, I have an A. The social construct of grades identifying how smart you are in the society is overwhelming. The fact that just a simple letter will define will you be in the future. Grades hold too much power over kids, and most adults don't understand that. They underestimate the stress that grades have on us. I read a book to breathe the air, to fill up and live, to get inspired and believe, to escape this glum place of non-ending arguments and pain. I sink in the emotions of the world, drowning with no air, submerging myself deeper and deeper. But a book will always give you a hand to a path of joy and happiness in the air. panic takes over my head. What if I say something wrong, or offend anyone? Those thoughts take over my brain, and my hands start to shiver. I never was the social butterfly that people think I am. I'm quiet. I like doing work by myself. People had hurt me, and I didn't heal. Dazzling ice, and a smile grows bigger on my face. People still remember. People still care. My friends still think about me, waiting for my presence. I can't wait to talk to them, to be by their side. The time that I'm with them flies by so quickly, I can't catch up the time, so I wait till the next weekend goes by.
I don't think that they handled the reopening well.
For the new school year, I plan on going in because of the curriculum that I have. I go to an art school, so my art is built into my schedule, and I feel like online wouldn't be as beneficial for me if I'm doing art, if I'm doing ceramics or any of that.
I'm having a hard time teaching online. I'm struggling to reach the kids. I feel like they're not gaining much. And I feel like I need to be in a classroom to be able to demonstrate and show and teach the different types of learners.
It's only going to last so long before we start closing again or we start going full online. There's just too much of a risk factor. Even if you do all the precautions, even if you do all those social distancing techniques, and even if you take temperature checks, wash your hands, all of that, someone somehow is going to get sick.
My biggest concern is people getting sick. If you contract the virus, you wouldn't know for weeks or like a week. So you might pass that on to somebody else and you wouldn't know until symptoms start to show up.
The school district kind of put out a thing that would be the most beneficial, or I guess as much as it could benefit a lot of the students who have different needs.
There's too many complications behind it because there's no one system for everybody. I think the governor's going to say, that's it, everybody stay home for at least the first few months of school.
Face-to-face learning definitely has its benefits. Personally, I'm more of a face-to-face learner. I'm better when someone is actually there teaching me rather than online. With online, you can kind of zone out. You don't have as much motivation as you do when the teacher's right there or the lesson is right in front of you.
I do suffer from lung disease. So I do worry that if a child who's not showing any symptoms comes in and I could get sick, I could be out of work for quite some time, or it could be spread, easily to other students.
I plan on staying online because it's safer and there's lower risk of any of my family or me getting sick.
I don't think it's going to work. There's a lot of teachers who are also parents whose students do go to school, and their schools are opting out for different plans. For example, my kids right now, they're slated as of last week to go full time. But option 2 would be a hybrid. Option 3 would be online learning. It could change at any given time. And then what do I do when they're home?
Hello, this is Zachary McGurk, and it has been very tough during this pandemic for many kids that attend school. Not only has learning virtually been tough, But most kids' social life is surrounded by school, such as sports, activities, and hanging out with their friends in and out of school. Arjun Aya, a ninth grade student from Philadelphia, explains how this pandemic has been rough for him during this school year.
Yeah, obviously I would like to see my friends in person, but I mean, there's really nothing I can do about it. My parents are both doctors, so they come home and they can tell us like about the pandemic and if it's the trends, if there's more cases or if there's less cases. And then like recently I was on a swim team and they took me off the swim team because of COVID. And so it's the pandemic is messing with everybody and I wish I could see my friends, but at the end of the day, I just got to do what's best for the health of everybody and wear masks and social distance if I see them.
Before the pandemic, Arjun and his friends would get together and play video games and sports at school.
Well, every lunch since the school year started, we've been playing Among Us with my friends over Discord. And I've been playing video games with my friends. That's a good way. And then occasionally I'll play basketball with my friends at the park. And that's about it. Like I can't really meet a lot of people in real life because of the whole pandemic. But yeah.
Even during this pandemic, he is still able to connect with his friends by using House Party, which is a smartphone app, to play games and even help each other with schoolwork.
Yeah, there's one app called House Party where I often talk with my friend whenever we have maybe like a question or homework, or if we're asking if you can play video games, just like short little snippets here and there, or if maybe we actually want to like talk about something. It's basically an app where you can have a bunch of people with their cameras on and you can like see them and talk to them and you can play games on them. It's a really good app. I'd recommend it if you want to stay in touch with your friends more.
While it's great Arjun gets to connect with his friends virtually and plays video games, he still yearns to hang out with his friends in person, which his parents also agree to because of his increased gaming. So they allow him to do so, but with a few restrictions.
Recently, I've over the weekend, sometimes I've been going to a field and like socially distancing and kicking a football through like field goal posts with my friends. And then sometimes I'd play basketball on the courts if they're open, but you have to always wear a mask and don't play with anyone that's not wearing a mask or that you don't know. That's basically what I've been like. That's the rule that I live by.
I hope that everyone shares the same rules Arjun does, which is, most importantly, keeping themselves safe by wearing a mask and staying 6 feet apart. Though times are very rough at the moment, we can still use the internet to chat with our family and friends. While this doesn't always fill the gaps of face-to-face interactions, if you feel the need to meet up with family or friends, remember to stick with Arjun's #1 rule. For WHYY's Education Podcast, this is Zachary McGurk.
All right, everybody. That was great. Let's give them a round of applause. I'll know if you're doing this at home or not. So please clap it up. That was really amazing. I really do feel, even though I've seen that reel before, that I learned a lot about you guys and what your experience was like. Joining me now for a brief discussion, let's welcome Dariana Garcia. I should probably do this in the order in which you appear in my screen. You're not on my screen yet. Dariana Garcia, Ren Hatcher, Zach McGurk, Caitlin Rodriguez, and Leah Bezabet. Or as they appear on my screen, Leah, Dariana, Ren, Zach, and Caitlin. Let's start with Caitlin, since you were in every video. And my question isn't how did you manage to get in every video, or how can our kids get more sources? My question is that when school first shut down, it was like 16 months ago, 9th graders went back today. It was kind of a milestone for the district. It was only supposed to be for 2 weeks, and that came out, I think, in the videos. There was like not a lot of curriculum available. Most kids did not have devices at home. And I thought if you could just describe for us, what was that initial shutdown like for you?
All right, so when we first got the oh, 2 weeks you're not going into school, it was kind of like a dream for like a teenage high school student. Cause for me, I was like, oh, I don't have to go to school anymore. And I was in freshman year. So it was already like overloading. I was already like, I think it was like around February, April, March, like around that time where workload is kind of packing. And I was extremely happy because I didn't know what was going on at that point. Like COVID was kind of like talked about going on in like other countries or not in, at least not in Philly. And so to me, it was like in the back of my mind. And those 2 weeks were like fabulous. I was like, oh, I don't have to wake up at like 5 in the morning. I can wake up at like 1 or 2 in the afternoon. But then I feel like that slow dream started to go into like a nightmare after the 2 weeks went to like 3 weeks. Then it went to a month. And then it went to like 4 months. And now we're here virtually learning. So for me, I just felt like it was like a draining experience as it went on, but I always tried to make the best of it.
Someone had told you back then, you know, after like 6 weeks that you were going to be doing this for 16 months and more. How do you think you would have taken it back then?
I don't think I would have believed them because I feel like, especially with our generation, I don't think I ever expected to be in a lockdown pandemic type of situation. So if someone told me back then, oh yeah, those 2 weeks, they're gonna end up being like a whole almost year, I wouldn't have believed them at all.
Leah, I loved your video. I loved that you were learning Korean even though you were trapped in your chair. What was the shutdown like for you initially?
In the beginning, it was like great because there was no school, there was like no meeting teachers, there was like no getting work from them. So it was initially great, but then towards the middle of it, it was like I want to see my friends, I want to interact with humans, I want to like go to school, I want to have like that kind of relationship with my teachers again. But you couldn't have that, so it's like you have to like get over it. So now I don't think it's bad, but it's not the best experience.
Were those your sisters you were arguing with?
Excuse me, can you say that again?
Were those your sisters you were arguing with in your video?
Yes.
So having siblings is kind of like a blessing and a curse when you're all stuck together, I guess.
Yeah.
Overall, happy to have them there, though.
Kind of.
I'll give you a pass before you get in trouble. Okay. All right, Ren. You went to Florida. You're muted, Ren.
Yes.
You went to Florida. What made you decide to make your video about traveling to Florida?
Well, like we normally, well, at least me and my family, we normally travel to Florida like once a year, once every other year. And it just felt like I was at a weird crossroads when going to Florida during 2020 because I wanted to go and escape like the repetition that's been building up for like months and months. But at the same time, I was like, I know about the pandemic and what we need to do to be safe so that we can decrease the spread. So I don't know, I feel like that clash of ideals while I was going to Florida just kind of gave me the inspiration to be like, I can document this and I can try to get information about COVID and how to make sure that I'm going there as healthy as possible and seeing where I can spread that information.
You describe how the social distancing there was not as strong as it is here. Did it feel like you were like entering an alternate universe?
Like a little bit. I feel like it mostly just because it's been a while since I've seen a lot of people. So I felt like I was just like going back in time and being like, oh wow, this is like before COVID. And certain people had their masks on, like staff had their masks, but like when it comes to like the people actually there, it just seems like right when they went to vacation, they were just like, oh man, we've completely forgot that it was a pandemic going on right now.
And you say in the video that made you feel a little uneasy because you were worried about the spread. Was there a part of you that was a little jealous that they are able to that they just kind of shrugged it off?
I feel like I miss going back to that level of being normal, but I wouldn't say I was jealous because I kind of just knew like I knew what I had to do to make sure that can come back and actually stay instead of trying to like enjoy it for the moment and then realizing that we're just going to be right back where we started.
Zach, Mr. McGurk. So you made a podcast. Was this your first time working with audio? I know you from the video world.
Yes, indeed it was. It was very fun. but it's it was pretty hard and difficult at first, but I got used to it after getting some hands-on learning from Steve, and then kind of just gave us a project, and we went on from there and started getting easier.
How many episodes did you make?
Oh, we only made one.
Oh, okay. And what'd you learn, from your guests?
Well, as like in the podcast, Arjun's #1 rule. Just a social distance, and there's people out there that just stick to their normal activities, but they always make sure to social distance while they're doing it.
Yeah, right. Dariana, you made the SEPTA piece. I was a regular SEPTA rider until about 16 months ago. And I think what I really love about your video is it just shows how, well, first of all, I love that it says that schools are going back on November 17th or whatever, and it sounds like maybe November 17th, 2021, but it was actually planned for last year. It shows how, it affects every aspect of our lives has been disrupted. What made you focus on transportation?
Well, I use SEPTA for high school and now for college, but my brother was going to be currently last year, he was going to be a freshman at high school, and he's never ridden public transport alone, and then alone can be scary, and then with a pandemic, it's scarier, and I was curious to know what was going on to make sure that everybody was being kept safe, since at the time there wasn't much info about it.
Yeah. And then you're in college, right? So you're one of the older folks here. I think you're probably technically not a teen anymore, right?
No.
Yeah. What's college been like during COVID?
It's been hard because my courses require seminar, and during seminar, we talk, but then on Zoom it was kind of awkward, and it felt really we weren't really communicating, and I wasn't really understanding the pieces we were reading, and then also the internet in my room was really bad, so sometimes Zoom would just turn off, and then I had to hurriedly come into the kitchen, but then my parents were eating breakfast, so then I would get distracted. So it's been pretty hard, but I mean I've gotten used to it. So
show of hands, do any of you prefer distance learning? No. Well, Zach, who disappeared, he's doing extra distance learning. He was doing virtual learning before the pandemic. So maybe oh, here he comes. Zach, you were doing virtual learning before the pandemic, right?
Yes, I was.
So does this did it feel like business as usual for you, or was it still kind of different when things shut down?
No, it felt normal. Since I've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah, interesting. So none of you guys would opt for, other than maybe Zach, for a full virtual experience for the rest of your lives. Okay. Right. Leah, your video shows this sort of, I think, frustration, but also this really great self-improvement stuff. You learn how to use a camera. You learn, as I mentioned earlier, Korean. How did making the movie help you through? Did making the movie help you get through the pandemic in any way?
Yes, it did. It was one of the small parts in getting me through the quarantine, but that small part really did help me get through it and not stress about anything and just to do what I like.
This question's for everybody. Does anybody else feel that there was something? Look, I don't think anyone would redo the last 16 months, and I know that some people had very personal tragedies that were awful. But is there anything that you learned, something that you did, something you were proud of that you think you'll take away as a positive from this?
Oh, yeah. Well, I started getting into exercise during this whole pandemic, and it's been really good. I've definitely lost a lot of weight, but that's the one thing that I'm going to keep taking out and continue doing once the coronavirus is still over. But yeah, so I'm just glad that I got into that, and I'm gonna still be able to continue it and everything.
Good for you. Dariana, I saw that you unmuted.
Yeah.
I guess I learned not to like procrastinate because I guess maybe some of you relate, but since I had a whole week to do everything, I would just do like last minute, and it was like really stressful. Like I think at one point, like my face like broke out. I was like so stressed, and yeah, I learned not to like procrastinate and like get work done, even if I am at home all the time.
Yeah. Anybody else? All right, we have some questions here from. Oh, Ren, you got something?
Oh yeah, I was just gonna say like I learned to try to be nicer to myself and to be patient, because I feel like a lot of the time during, at least like before COVID, like I felt like my schedule was really like semi-hectic because I just liked to do a lot of things. But when COVID hit, I was kind of put in a position where like I couldn't do anything at the control that I used to. I have to kind of like abide by the rules of the pandemic and like trying to stay home and like getting adapted to online learning. And so I feel like a lot of the time I was trying to rush to that same sensation that I felt before, but now I'm getting more of the hang of it and being like, it's okay, the situation is kind of temporary, and you can still do good things whether you're stuck at home for months or not. Just get some time for yourself.
That's great, man. I think if you don't learn anything about yourself when you're stuck at home for 16 months, then you probably had a very different experience than the rest of us. That's great. You have a question in the chat, Ren. It says, what was your transition like from high school to college in relation to COVID-19?
It was kind of weird. It felt like a seamless transition, and but like when I started college, I had this feeling like I didn't even really graduate. Like it felt like all my built up senioritis and me being like, yeah, I'm a senior. I felt like a senior in my first semester of college, and even the beginning of my second semester of college. Like I didn't even accept the idea that I graduated. I felt like that made it kind of weird when it comes to like dealing with the workload and actually getting the hang of like a different curriculum, because my school used to be an engineering school to like an all art-based school. So it's like it was a change of curriculums, teachers, environment, and it's online. I felt like I wish I was able to start it with a little bit more of like confidence, being able to be like, yeah, man, I ended the year and I'm on to the next one. But now it just felt like a whole really long year.
That was from your teacher, by the way, Mr. Schreiber, was that question.
Schreiber, what's up?
And then the last question from the chat was just, Zach, you got more episodes coming out? People want to know.
Maybe later in the future, maybe. I'll probably start up my own podcast one day.
All right, good. We're counting on it. All right, listen, we're a couple minutes over, but I just, we teach all of our kids in our media classes that the last question you should always ask somebody is there anything else you want to add? At least somebody should have taught you guys that at some point. So I'm going to ask you guys, is there anything else that you guys want to add? No? Thank you, Ren. Bring it home.
Yes, you be safe. The virus is still here. It's easing down. Try to get vaccinated. Enjoy the remaining quality time you're going to have with your family before things go back to normal. I feel like, we forgot that our entire family is all next to each other, man. Like, I don't know, you might got like a couple months, play Scrabble or something.
All right, I'm definitely going to end on that note. That was awesome. Thank you, Ren. Thank you to all of you guys for sharing your movies with us. And thank you for being with us, everyone in the audience. Stay safe, play Scrabble. All right, guys, bye-bye.
Have a great one.
Live with more on the school closures in Philadelphia.
No schools here in Philadelphia. No school for the next 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Live with more on the school closures in Philadelphia.
No schools here in Philadelphia. No school for the next 2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Another 2 weeks. Another 2 weeks. Our business and school closures will no longer have a set date to resume normal operations.
Just woke
echo from a long neck.
Hibernation.
I'm tired of this quarantine.
Losing patience.
I'm trying to get my life right.
Dedication.
Get up and get moving.
Motivation.
Listen to the government.
Cooperation.
Trying not to go outside.
Temptation.
I'm tired of these four walls.
Staycation.
Can't wait to get back on.
Vacation. We're looking at a future unknown. I know we're not in this alone. We know this is a strange situation. Please get me out of coronation.
Please get me out of coronation. Please get me out. Please get me out of coronation. Please get me out. This pandemic is everywhere.
Infestation.
Something that we never seen.
Mutation.
Waiting for a vaccine.
Medication.
It feels like a drunken dream.
Intoxication.
I know we're in some dark times.
Inspiration.
Cracking some new habits.
Meditation.
I can't wait to send mine
Relocation.
and make it through this hard time.
Congratulations. We're looking at a future unknown. I know we're not in this alone. We know this is a strange situation. Please get me out of coronation.
Please get me out of coronation. Please get me out. Please get me out of coronation. Please get me out.
PlayStation, generation, isolation, complication, stagnation, rotation, transformation, constellation, investigation, proclamation, no matriculation, separation, new creation, coronation. We're looking at a future unknown. I know we're not in this alone. We know this is a strange situation. Please get me out of coronation.
Please get me out of coronation. Please get me out.